In this podcast, we would like to study the telegram from the mission in Geneva to the Department of State. So the date is August 15 in 1964. We want to emphasize on one point. So the telegram was sent by Tubby from Hutchinson. The point we want to study is a specific paragraph which starts like this. He said Greece will have no basis for enosis campaign if there were no agreement with Turkey. The following sentence is the most important. If it staged coup d'etat, this would precipitate war with Turkey. So it's clear that even in 1964, the scenario of a coup d'etat was in their mind. Of course, they didn't know anything about that and about the future. So it was just a scenario. But the point is that we find in the telegram from 1964 the word coup d'etat and the relation with the war with Turkey. You remember that at that moment, at that point, it was only a local problem in the region of Mansoura-Kokina, just that. But it was also a kind of repercussion on all the island. So the problem was, if we have a local problem with Greek Cypriots and we have a whole problem with the whole island with Turkish Cypriot, we will have a big problem. The idea here is that we mentioned the coup d'etat. We suggested war would probably come anyway. So that war is not related exclusively with the idea of coup d'etat. Why? And the reason they mention that in the telegram, because Makarios would do things on Cyprus that would bring about Turkish intervention. So you see that they don't say invasion, they say just intervention. We are in the same framework of the three powers. So one of them can do that. We are already in this frame. By the way, the three powers are in the NATO already at that moment. And now we see what? We see 2 points. The first is it's possible to have a coup d'etat with no relation with the political situation in Greece. We are now 10 years before. Okay. The second point is that with the moves of Makarios, sooner or later, we will have a war. It's important to see it because they saw it in 1964. So 10 years before the invasion. So the point is, with those two remarks, you can see what? You can see that the natural, classical mental schema about, you know, the events in the framework of 1974 are in fact due to the situation in Greece only. But the point of this telegram is rather different, and in fact is more close to the reality. We are in a Cold War. We have many problems everywhere in the world, and now we have a Cyprus issue. And the problem is what Makarios want to do. The things he wanted to do at the first level was only a correction of the situation. But at the end of the process, in this telegram, which came from the mission in Geneva, okay, so we are in negotiation, said something which is very important. It's possible to have a coup d'etat. It's not an exclusivity, but sooner or later we will have a war because of that moves. So it's very important to mention it. It's for us more or less a discovery because it was written 10 years before, and now we have the proof that some people, not everybody, we agree, some people at a very high level thought that it's possible. But remember, it's possible even in 1964 with no relation with Greece, just about the situation there. And when I say no relation with Greece, not exactly like this, but no relation with the political system. Because at that time in Greece, we had what? The king. And also Papandreou. So it was not a problem, I mean, as a status, as a political situation. So it was something which was normal. But we have already the same problem. And without the intervention of the President Johnson, in fact, the invasion of 1974 would have been in 1964. So the facts are not related to the same data. So there is no correlation, there is no exclusivity. So it's not an explanation to say that due to the situation in Greece, we have that. No, it's wrong. And by the way, 2 times wrong. Why? Because it's possible to have the same thing 10 years before with no relation, and it's possible to have the same thing, but with no coup d'etat. Because the target and the goal of Makarios was so critical and so difficult that in fact the consequence of that was a war.